So this is our goal, and this is in our reach. We have everything going for us. We have the opportunity, we have the freedom, we have the leisure, all like that stuff that they say, and we also have the method. And you have been given this weekend the single most powerful method there is to achieve the goal. The single most powerful method. So the verses that we'll talk about tonight from the Bhagavad Gita last session are basically the end of the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna just says that. He just says what I just told you, basically. That this is the most powerful thing I could ever teach you, and that it's secret. It's secret. It's esoteric. It's mysterious. It's, like I've been saying throughout the weekend, it's the esoteric traditions keep themselves secret from people who don't have the karma, don't have the seeds to hear it and put it into play. And don't be one of them. You spent 4 days, hearing the secret, the real secret. 4 days, hearing the real secret, which isn't that movie. The real secret is to get what you want, to get there, to have all your dreams come true. You have to give up being you. You see? So, who are you? Who are we? One thing that that we have touched upon over the last couple of days is that you're not you the way you think you are. There's no thing, entity, unchanging entity. So they say independent, unitary, and unchanging self. See, that's the self that we believe we have. Unitary means one, right? Unitary, one. Unchanging means a self that just watches you go through life. The watcher self that just watches you. When you're 4, you're watching yourself as 4, and then you watch yourself going to junior high, you watch yourself going to college, like that self. Unchanging. The watcher self, unchanging self. And then independent. Independent of what? Of your parts. Of the parts of the self. Which is the physical body and the mental body. And there's no self like that. There's absolutely no self like that. It's unfindable, they say. You go home, go to your cabin tonight and look around, Look around inside. Where is that unitary, unchanging, independent self? So let's just check. First of all, do you have parts? Yes or no? Physical parts and mental parts, right? How many parts do you have? 84,000, somebody said, which is like a gajillion. So how many selves are there? One. Okay, so there's one self that has many parts. Yeah? If there's one self that has many parts, that has a body and a mind, that would be an independently existing self. A self that would still be there when you put your body and mind on one side. There would be a self over there somewhere. Okay? Who would be thinking about that self? When you think about that self, who's thinking about that self? My mind's thinking. Well, wait a minute. Your mind's over here. How can you be thinking about yourself when your mind's over here? Right? A self that existed independently of a body and mind would be unknowable by your mind, right? Who would be thinking about you if it were not your mind thinking of? See what I mean? Or how could you be? If you believe that there's a self like that, could you be sitting here and yourself be in Reno right now? See, but if they're independent, yourself, you could park yourself in Reno and come to the thing, and your body and mind could come here to the Tahoe retreat. Is that possible to have a self like that, independent of the body and mind? Okay, you're supposed to say no. I don't think so. I don't think I do. Okay. So there's no independent self of the body and mind, which means that if the self isn't independent of its parts, it must be found somewhere in its parts. Okay? If it's not different from its parts and sitting in Reno right now, while your body and mind are here in a pew or on the floor, then it must be somewhere within the body-mind complex, right? Well, that's the only other choice. It's either apart from the parts, it's either different from the parts, or the same as the parts. Yes or no? It's either or. Yes or no? Either or. If it's going to exist, it's either or. Is there a third option? So you got to make your mind, hold your mind to the fire here a little bit. No, because your mind doesn't want to think like this. Your mind doesn't want to do this exercise. You know why? because you know you're doomed. No, you know that self that you think exists knows it's doomed when you start doing it. And there's all kinds of resistance to doing this. I've done this kind of exercise in retreat for 3-4 weeks at a time. And you can just watch your mind resist it. No, let's not think about that. Oh, there's probably a third choice. If we just, if we wanted to, we could think of a third choice between a self that existed apart from its parts or within its parts. There's probably a third choice. You don't have to commit to one or the other. Your mind plays all kinds of tricks like that. If there was a self, independent self, that existed, it would be apart from the parts, right? So we kind of established, at least sort of, that that's impossible, right? A self that could exist apart from your body and mind. Yes? Impossible. So that means it must be within. All right? Some people are looking dubious. Let's try it again. You say your name to yourself. Do you exist apart from your body and mind? No. Who would be thinking about you apart from your mind? Who's thinking about you when you're thinking, me apart from my mind? Who's thinking that? Your mind is thinking that. So how could you be apart from your mind? Okay, Shuddy? Yes, good, Shuddy. Everyone's thanking Shuddy for saying yes finally instead of going. So that only leaves one other option, doesn't it? That you exist within your parts. So we already established that there couldn't be an independent self. So that means we've got two more ideas about ourselves that we need to deal with here. If you existed within your part, could you be unitary? Could the you that you think exists be one? Well, let's see. How many parts? If you're within your parts, how many parts you got? So how many yous are there? See, there must be many, many yous. If you are your parts, because you have multiple parts, you have multiple parts of the body, multiple parts of the mind, you must be multiple. You must be Sybil. You have a multiple personality disorder, right? So you can't be a unitary self within multiple parts, right? That would be impossible. So that only leaves one more. Which is that? Unchanging self. The witness self that just watches you as you go through life without changing. There's a self that is unchanging within the body-mind complex. Because there can't be an unchanging self apart from the body-mind complex, because that would be an independently existing self. So that only leaves within the body-mind complex. Is there an unchanging self somewhere? Well, let's check. If it's in the body-mind complex, where is the unchanging part of your body or mind? Where is it? Are your parts changing or unchanging? The physical. Let's check. Are the physical parts changing or unchanging? Where in the body is an unchanging physical part? Anywhere? No. What about the mind? Is there something in the mind? Are your memories unchanging? Are your feelings unchanging? Is your ability to discriminate between this and that unchanging? See, everything's changing, constantly changing in the mind. So how can there be an unchanging self within the body-mind complex where everything's changing? So kids, ka-ching, what's the cash out? What's the conclusion? There cannot be an unchanging, independent, unitary self at all. It's impossible. Impossible. It does not exist. It's an illusion. It's just an illusion. So I guess you don't have a self anymore. Not true. I didn't say that. You don't have the self that you thought you had anymore. Okay, I just took that away from you, and don't try and get it back. No, just give it up. Just admit, no, I never had one of those to begin with. It's all just been an illusion that I had a self like that. Okay, so give that up. That's a very important step, to give up this kind of crazy, wacky idea of ourselves that we have. Okay? Now